Every woman listening to me right now, hear this: you are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not passed over. When God is preparing to release something mighty in your life, He does not announce it with a trumpet. He shows it through signs. And if you miss those signs, you might delay your destiny. But if you discern them, you will walk into favor that will blow your mind. With deep discontent with the ordinary, there comes a time in a woman's life when she begins to feel something shifting deep within her. It's not always dramatic. It doesn't come with fireworks or flashing lights. It creeps in quietly through the silence of a mundane routine, in the hollowness of relationships that no longer inspire, in the weight of tasks that used to bring joy but now feel like chains. She wakes up one morning, looks around her life, and says, there has to be more than this. That moment, that internal spark of frustration with the ordinary, is not a breakdown, it is a breakthrough trying to be born. You see, before God blesses a woman mightily, He often allows her to become discontent with what once made her comfortable. It's not to punish her, it's to provoke her, because comfort is the enemy of calling. When you are too satisfied with where you are, you'll never stretch to where you're supposed to be. God will disrupt your peace to deliver you into purpose. Take the example of a woman working a 9-to-5 job. For years, she gave it her all, showed up early, stayed late, took pride in her work. But lately, she's been staring at her computer screen, her hands moving but her heart unmoved. Her coworkers still laugh at the same jokes, her boss still praises her efforts, the paycheck still lands on time, but none of it ignites her anymore. She doesn't understand why, but the thought of doing this for the rest of her life makes her spirit ache. That ache is not apathy, it's awakening. God is trying to make her uncomfortable enough to step into her next. And this discomfort doesn't only show up at work, it hits every area of her life. The friends she used to vibe with now feel distant. Not because they changed, but because she did. Conversations feel shallow. Social events feel draining. She starts pulling away. Not because she's antisocial, but because her soul is craving depth. She longs for conversations that challenge her, relationships that grow her, environments that stir her potential. That hunger is holy. It's a sign she's outgrowing the level she's been surviving on. When God is preparing a woman for something greater, He has to disconnect her from what no longer reflects who she's becoming. You can't step into a new season still clinging to old cycles. So He lets the old lose its flavor. He lets the familiar become frustrating. He lets the ordinary lose its shine. Because until she's sick of where she is, she won't stretch for where she's going. Think of a plant that has outgrown its pot. At first, it looks beautiful and healthy, but over time, the roots start crowding, the soil runs dry, and growth becomes stunted. The plant hasn't failed, it's simply bigger than the space it's in, and if the gardener doesn't move it, the plant will die, not because it's weak, but because it wasn't meant to stay small. That's exactly what happens to a woman on the edge of her breakthrough. Her environment is too small for the size of her destiny, so God starts shaking things up, not to destroy her, but to replant her, to move her from survival to significance. She may start to feel like she's lost her passion, but in truth, she's shedding her past. She may feel unmotivated by the things she once loved, but that's because something greater is calling her. She may find herself crying for no reason, disconnected from people she used to adore, uninterested in routines she used to live for, and that's okay. That's divine discontent. That's God whispering, this is not your final stop. God will never leave you where He found you. So if you're feeling uncomfortable, disconnected, dissatisfied, don't panic. That's proof He's preparing you. He's allowing that internal agitation to break the cycle of mediocrity. He's allowing that divine dissatisfaction to be the catalyst for transformation. You were never meant to stay stuck in good enough when you were created for greatness. And here's the truth. Most women don't move until they're made uncomfortable. We're nurturers. We adapt. We stay, we fix, we settle. But when that deep discontent hits, we begin to realize settling is no longer safe. Tolerating is no longer healthy. Fitting in is no longer fulfilling. That's when a woman starts moving different, breaking different, framing different. And that's when heaven starts leaning in. That discontent is not something to pray away. It's something to pray through. Because on the other side of that dissatisfaction is destiny. On the other side of that restlessness is release. On the other side of that longing is a life you haven't even imagined yet. You're not breaking down. You're breaking out, and everything in your life is starting to shift, not to punish you, but to prepare you. When God is about to bless a woman mightily, He often begins by making her uncomfortable with small living, with shallow thinking, with stagnant places. He shakes the nest because it's time for her to fly. So if you feel discontent, don't run from it. Lean into it. Because that discomfort is the doorway to your elevation. Isolation from certain people, there is a strange silence that falls over a woman's life right before she walks into something massive. It's the kind of silence that makes her question everything, her friendships, her relationships, her circle. She starts noticing something peculiar. People she once laughed with suddenly don't call as often. Friends who once texted daily now take days to respond. Invitations stop coming. Conversations feel shallow, forced, or worse, absent. And at first, it hurts. She feels abandoned, left out, forgotten. She wonders, what did I do wrong? But what she doesn't realize yet is that this isolation is not a rejection. It's preparation. God is clearing the room because He's about to do something in her life that requires fewer distractions and more focus. Before a woman steps into her divine elevation, God starts whispering through disconnection. He starts trimming the branches that are no longer bearing fruit. The friendships that once gave her joy now feel empty, not because she's bitter, but because she's becoming. The truth is, growth is lonely, and not everyone who started with you can go with you. Some people are only assigned to your past, not your future. And God, in His wisdom, will remove those who can't handle your next level, even if you still love them. Imagine a woman named Carla. She used to be the life of the party. Her phone buzzed constantly. Group chats, lunch plans, happy hours, gossip sessions. She was surrounded by people. But now, it's quiet. She opens her messages, nothing. She scrolls through her contacts, no one to call. She starts feeling like a ghost in her own life. But what Carla doesn't see is that her spirit has outgrown her surroundings. The friends who used to be her comfort are no longer compatible with her calling. They still want to talk about people. She wants to talk about purpose. They want to chill. She wants to build. They want to relive memories. She wants to create legacy. That's why the connection is fading. That's why the silence is growing. That's why the room feels empty, because God is making space for people who match her mission. You see, when God is about to bless a woman mightily, He removes every voice that could confuse her, because in the noise of people, it's hard to hear the voice of purpose. When you're constantly surrounded, your attention is divided, and a divided attention is dangerous when you're walking into destiny. So He pulls her away, not to punish her, but to position her. It may look like isolation, but it's actually insulation. He's wrapping her in divine stillness so she can hear clearly, think deeply, and grow fully. Even in nature, we see this principle. When a caterpillar is about to transform, it doesn't do it on display. It isolates, it disappears into a cocoon. It enters a space where nobody can reach it, talk to it, or interfere with its process. And it is inside that hidden place, away from familiar voices, that it becomes something entirely new. The caterpillar never fights the isolation because it's in that stillness that the wings are formed. The same goes for a woman of destiny. Her isolation is not the end of her story. It's the beginning of her becoming. She may look around and feel like everyone left, but what really happened is that purpose entered. And purpose is jealous. It doesn't want company that distracts. So the brunch invites stopped. The gossip chats dried up. The party calls ended. Not because she's unloved, but because she's evolving. And not everyone will understand her evolution. Some will say, she's acting brand new. Others will whisper, she's changed. And the truth is, they're right. She has changed. But what they don't realize is that this change isn't arrogance, it's alignment. She's aligning with who she really is. And to do that, she has to shed who she used to be, along with the people who kept her there. She might cry in this season. She might feel the sting of solitude. But tears are not weakness. They're a washing, a preparation. Because when God isolates you, He also upgrades you. He detoxes your soul from the noise, the expectations, the fake love, the empty flattery. He silences the outer world so He can awaken your inner world. It's in this sacred silence that she starts hearing herself again, her real thoughts, her true dreams, her buried desires, the things she silenced to fit in with people who didn't deserve her presence. And suddenly, the woman who felt forgotten starts remembering who she is. She begins walking different, thinking different, living different, because now she's not driven by validation, she's guided by vision. Some women don't realize that what they thought was abandonment was actually alignment. What looked like people leaving was really God lifting her out of mediocrity, out of noise, out of circles that celebrated her smallness, but feared her greatness. Because not everyone can handle the version of her that's walking in full power. Some people were only loyal to a limited self. They love the caterpillar, but can't celebrate the butterfly. And that's okay. Butterflies don't fly in packs. They fly with purpose. So when a woman finds herself isolated, she must learn to lean in, not pull back, to trust that this silence is sacred, that the removal of people is not a curse, it's a clue that her next level is near, a clue that her life is about to expand, a clue that heaven is about to assign her to new rooms, new realms, and new relationships that won't just see her for where she's been, but honor her for where she's going. Unusual spiritual sensitivity, there's a moment in a woman's life when she begins to feel a stirring in her soul that she can't explain. It's not anxiety, it's not emotion, it's not mood swings, it's something deeper. A spiritual sensitivity that shows up without warning and demands her attention. Things that never used to bother her suddenly feel heavy. Words she used to ignore now sting. She begins to sense energy in the room, tension in a conversation, and clarity in silence. She walks into a space and immediately knows whether her spirit is welcome there or not. And it confuses her because she's never felt like this before. But that's how you know God is fine, tuning her senses. He's sharpening her discernment because something big is coming and she can't afford to walk blindly into it. This spiritual sensitivity is a divine setup. It's not a breakdown, it's a build-up. Her soul is becoming alert and her spirit is waking up. She starts noticing things others miss. She hears a message and feels like it was tailor-made for her. She hears a song and tears well up, even though no one else around her is moved. She opens her journal and writes things that seem to come from somewhere beyond her thoughts. And for a moment, she wonders if she's just being too deep. But no, she's not. She's being tuned in. It's like a radio dial. When you want to hear a clear signal, you have to turn away from static. You have to shift the dial slowly, patiently, until everything else fades and the message becomes sharp and clear. That's exactly what God is doing with her soul. He's shifting her away from noise, away from distractions, away from surface level conversations, away from shallow connections. And he's bringing her into a frequency where she can hear clearly, feel deeply, and know divinely. Take the example of Alicia, a woman in her mid-30s. She's always been ambitious-driven and focused on her goals. She used to wake up and dive right into her phone, emails, texts, calendar reminders. But lately, she's been waking up at 4:30 a.m. for no reason. Not from stress, not from fear, just awake. At first, she tried to go back to sleep, but something inside wouldn't let her. So one morning, she sat in the quiet, lit a candle, and just listened. And in that silence, thoughts began to rise. Clarity began to flow. She saw patterns in her life. She saw where she had settled. She saw who she had outgrown. And most of all, she heard the whisper, "There's more." That moment changed her. Now she protects her mornings like gold. That early hour became sacred. It became the time she connected with something greater than herself. She didn't need music, didn't need noise, didn't need distractions, just her spirit and stillness. And in that stillness, she was led to ideas that reshaped her business. She was guided to walk away from certain relationships. She was inspired to start mentoring young women, something she never considered before. All because her spirit was awakened and attuned. When a woman starts becoming spiritually sensitive, it's not because she's becoming emotional. It's because she's being called. She starts sensing when something is off, even if everyone around her is clapping. She starts feeling uneasy in environments she used to thrive in. She starts craving solitude over stimulation. She pulls back, not out of fear, but out of focus. Her spirit begins to reject what doesn't align, and her peace becomes more precious than popularity. This kind of sensitivity is not common. It's not something you can fake or fabricate. It's a result of divine preparation. Because before a woman receives a mighty blessing, her capacity must be enlarged. Her heart must be clear. Her vision must be sharp. And her spirit must be connected. God will not pour something divine into someone who's not ready to hear, see, or move when he says move. So he sharpens her senses. He teaches her to hear beyond what's spoken, to feel beyond what's seen, to know beyond what's obvious. She might find herself walking away from conversations that feel off, even if no one else notices. She may find herself crying while washing dishes or sitting in traffic, not because anything bad happened, because her spirit is breaking open. She's becoming tender, alert, alive. The older would have brushed it off. The newer knows this is a signal. Even daily routines start to feel different. A simple walk in the park becomes a time of divine insight. A regular commute becomes a sacred space for revelation. She turns down the music because she's listening not to lyrics, but to life. She starts writing down thoughts that seem too wise to be hers. She has dreams that feel more like visions. This isn't superstition, this is spiritual preparation. She is being led slowly and steadily into alignment with something that eyes haven't seen and ears haven't heard. And yes, people might misunderstand her in this season. They might say she's changing or acting weird or too deep. But what they don't understand is that she's in training. Heaven is downloading strategies, insight, and wisdom that she will soon need. This isn't her being distant, it's her being developed. This isn't her drifting, it's her discerning. Because when a mighty blessing is coming, the noise of life will no longer satisfy the hunger of her soul. Only truth, only stillness, only divine connection will do. So God sharpens her sensitivity, not to confuse her, but to equip her. He awakens her so that when the time comes, she's not wondering what to do. She'll already know. Her spirit will recognize it. Her peace will confirm it. Her heart will say, this is it. Doors begin closing without explanation. There comes a strange and often painful moment in a woman's life when the door she was once so sure of begin to close. And they don't knock, they don't creak, they don't warn, they just close. Opportunities she thought were certain vanish. People she trusted walk away. Plans she spent months building crumble with one phone call, one email, or worse, without a word. And in that moment, confusion sets in. She starts questioning herself. Did I fail? Did I miss a step? Was I not good enough? But what she doesn't yet understand is that those doors aren't closing because she failed. They're closing because God is redirecting her destiny. When doors close without explanation, it's not always rejection, it's protection. A woman may be crying over a door she prayed to stay open, not knowing that what lies on the other side would have destroyed her. Sometimes God closes doors we wanted wide open, not to punish, but to prepare us, not to hurt us, but to heal us. He sees the conversations behind closed meetings we were never meant to hear. He sees the betrayal wrapped in that business opportunity we were excited about. He sees the draining relationships we were still trying to keep alive. And in his mercy, he shuts it down quickly, quietly, without debate. Take Sophia, for example. She worked so hard for a promotion at her job. Came early, stayed late, said to everything she was the top performer. Everyone, including her, was convinced that position was hers. But when the announcement came, they gave it to someone else. No explanation, no feedback, just silence. She was devastated, embarrassed. Angry, she questioned her worth, her talent, even her prayers. But what Sophia couldn't see at the time was that 3 months later, the department she wanted to lead was eliminated due to a corporate restructure. Roles dissolved, people laid off, chaos followed. And she had been spared. That door that closed in her face was not a loss. It was a layer of divine strategy. God didn't let her walk into something that would break her down. And not long after, another opportunity came, one that aligned with her passion, one that used her gifts fully, and one that gave her peace instead of pressure. That's when she realized closed doors don't mean closed destiny. They just mean divine rerouting. You see, when a woman is about to be blessed mightily, God doesn't always explain his moves. He doesn't hold a meeting to clarify what he's doing. He just moves, and often it looks like rejection, confusion, or delay. But spiritually, it's orchestration, divine chess. He's moving pieces, shifting paths, blocking access, not because she's being punished, but because her purpose is too great to be placed in average spaces. There are some doors that look like opportunity, but are actually distraction. Some doors that look golden, but are coated in manipulation. Some doors that look good, but aren't God. It's like standing in a hallway where all the doors start slamming shut one by one, and she's left standing in silence. That hallway is uncomfortable. It feels like failure. It feels like loneliness, but it's not. That hallway is where transformation begins. That hallway is where identity is clarified. That hallway is where the noise dies down and direction starts rising. She learns that just because something was good to her doesn't mean it was good for her. She learns to let go of what looked like a blessing but was really a burden in disguise. When a woman walks with vision, she doesn't chase every open door. She doesn't cry over every closed one. She starts discerning the difference between man-made opportunities and God-ordained purpose. And that discernment only comes through closed doors. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it hurts. But the heartbreak is holy. The delay is divine. The no is necessary. Every woman who has ever walked in favor has first walked through frustration. Every woman who's ever been lifted has first experienced loss. And the quicker she realizes that closed doors are often the beginning of breakthrough, the quicker she'll stop begging to go back and start boldly stepping forward. Because here's the truth, closed doors don't define her value, they refine her vision. Daily life reminds us of this constantly. Think about when a website won't load and we keep refreshing the page over and over again. We assume something's wrong with our connection, but what if the site is under maintenance? What if it's being upgraded behind the scenes? What if what you're trying to access isn't gone, it's just being improved, and you're not allowed in while the renovation is happening? That's how God works sometimes. He blocks access, not to deny you, but to develop what's next. He doesn't want you walking into a room that isn't ready for your brilliance. And it's not just in careers. It happens in relationships too. A woman may be holding on to someone she believes is the one, trying so hard to fix what keeps falling apart. Then suddenly the person leaves, no closure. No conversation, just gone. She's left broken, wondering what she did wrong. But later, she sees that person in a different light. The things she couldn't see while she was inside the relationship now become crystal clear. The manipulation, the emotional toll, the spiritual stagnation. And she breathes, not because she's alone, but because she's finally free. That door didn't close to hurt her, it closed to heal her. So when doors start closing, when opportunities start disappearing, when people start walking away, it doesn't always mean you missed it. Sometimes it means you're right on schedule, right in the center of a divine interruption, right in the middle of being rerouted to something so much bigger than what you thought was possible. Sudden burden for purpose and identity. There comes a moment in every woman's life when she wakes up and nothing feels the same. Not the job she used to love, not the people she used to laugh with, not even the goals she once swore by. It's not depression, it's not confusion, it's not boredom. It's a divine disturbance. Something deep within her starts to ache for meaning. She can't explain it to her friends. They wouldn't understand it. They'll say she's just going through something, but deep down, she knows it's more than that. It's a sudden burden for purpose, for identity, for alignment. It's as if her soul suddenly refuses to settle. She starts to feel like a stranger in her own world. The conversations she once enjoyed now feel shallow. The things that used to excite her now leave her feeling empty. She looks around and realizes she's built a life that looks good, but doesn't feel right. And this realization doesn't come with celebration, it comes with weight, a heaviness, a restlessness that she can't pray away or sleep off. Because this isn't the enemy attacking, it's purpose awakening. It's like God places a mirror in front of her soul and asks, who are you really? What were you created for? And that question won't let her go. She hears it in the silence. She feels it while driving. It visits her in the middle of meetings. It interrupts conversations. It haunts her in the quiet hours of the night. She starts questioning everything, not out of fear, but out of hunger. Hunger for truth, hunger for purpose, hunger for authenticity. Let's talk about Naomi, a woman who had a seemingly perfect life, a great job, a supportive family, friends who adored her. But suddenly everything started to feel off. She couldn't explain why. Her job felt meaningless. The laughter with friends sounded forced. She started spending more time alone. She wasn't depressed. She was shifting. Her spirit was starting to demand more depth, more truth, more alignment. She didn't want to just exist anymore. She wanted to live on purpose. And in that season, Naomi began to feel the burden. She would cry without knowing why. She would feel overwhelmed by the simplest things. She wasn't weak. She was being reborn. Something in her was breaking away from the surface life she had created and pulling her into her core identity. She didn't want applause anymore. She wanted authenticity. She didn't want approval. She wanted alignment. She didn't want to just make money. She wanted to make impact. That's what happens when a woman is about to be blessed with something mighty. Before the platform comes the pressing. Before the spotlight comes the silence. Before the favor comes the fire. God starts burning away everything that was built on falsehood, false identity, false ambition, false relationships. He starts whispering truths that require courage to embrace. You were never meant to be here. That's not your calling. You've outgrown this. And it hurts because she wants to hold on. She wants to keep things familiar. But purpose won't let her. Her identity starts shifting. She used to find validation in her title, her looks, her achievements. Now, those things don't satisfy. She's being drawn into the question, who am I without all this? And that question, as terrifying as it feels, is a divine invitation. An invitation to rediscover her essence, her God-given identity, her original design. She starts peeling back the layers placed by culture, by family, by past relationships, and begins seeing herself clearly for the first time, not through the lens of what she's done, but who she is. Purpose has a way of pulling a woman out of the crowd into consecration. It separates her, not to isolate her, but to identify her. Suddenly, she starts desiring more solitude. She's not trying to be distant. She's trying to listen. She's not trying to be deep. She's trying to connect. She finds herself waking up in the middle of the night with ideas she's never thought of before. She feels a tug to write, to build, to mentor, to serve, to speak, but she doesn't know where to start. That's okay. The burden is the beginning. She may look around and feel behind, like everyone else is moving forward and she's standing still, but she's not behind. She's being prepared. There's nothing slow about divine timing. While others are busy building things that won't last, she's being built from the inside out. While others are chasing fame, she's chasing foundation. And in due time, what she's carrying will birth something the world didn't see coming. Everyday moments start carrying deeper meaning. She listens differently. She walks differently. She sees opportunities where she used to see obstacles. Even the pain she went through now has purpose. The heartbreaks, the disappointments, the closed doors, they were never wasted. They were shaping her, stretching her, preparing her, because identity is never revealed in comfort. It's forged in the furnace of discomfort, uncertainty, and surrender. This burden she feels isn't random. It's divine. This inner shaking isn't failure, it's formation. She's not losing her mind. She's finding her mission. She's not falling apart. She's finally falling into place. And once she aligns with who she really is, nothing and no one can stop what's coming. Because a woman who knows her purpose becomes unstoppable, not because of what she has, but because of who she's become. Confirmation through unlikely sources. Confirmation doesn't always come from the places we expect. It doesn't always arrive in the language of religion or in the voice of someone we admire. Sometimes, when a woman is on the edge of her breakthrough, when she's seconds from stepping into a destiny that will redefine her future, God confirms it in the most unlikely way. It could be a conversation with a stranger that pierces her spirit. It could be a random message on a billboard, a song lyric, a child's innocent question, something so random, so ordinary that it doesn't look like prophecy, but it shakes her to the core. See, when God is about to bless a woman mightily, she starts seeing confirmations from sources she never would have trusted before. She's not looking for signs, signs start looking for her. It's not manipulation. It's not coincidence. It's alignment. And the crazy part, these confirmations often come when she's doubting the most, when she's questioning whether she heard right, when she's wondering if she made it all up. That's when the confirmation hits, not from the pulpit, but from the parking lot, not from the preacher, but from the cashier at the grocery store. It's wild, it's unexplainable, but it's real. I remember a woman named Clara. She had been praying for clarity about a move. She didn't tell anyone. She didn't even write it down. She just whispered it in the quiet of her spirit. God, if this is really you, I need a confirmation, but I don't want it from the usual places. 2 days later, she's at a coffee shop, sitting in the corner, minding her business. A man at the next table drops his phone, and when he picks it up, he sighs and says out loud, sometimes, you gotta move to find peace, even if it scares you. He wasn't talking to her. He didn't even know she heard him, but her whole body froze. Her eyes welled up. That wasn't random. That was a response. You see, when you're in divine alignment, you don't chase confirmations. They appear, they interrupt your routine. They confront your doubt. They show up in everyday moments, because when God is about to do something big in your life, he doesn't just speak through loud, dramatic events. He whispers through the wind. He hides messages in mundane moments. He wraps his voice in people who don't even know they're being used. And if your heart is open, you'll catch it. You'll feel that chill in your spirit that says, that was for me. Some of the most powerful confirmations don't come in church. They come in traffic, in line at the bank, while folding laundry. God doesn't wait for a Sunday service to speak. He speaks when your soul is listening, and sometimes he uses the least likely vessels to do it. A co-worker you barely talk to who says something that speaks to your exact situation. A YouTube video you weren't even trying to watch, but it plays a sentence that hits your heart like lightning. An ad, a meme, a conversation behind you in a restaurant. These are not just coincidences. They are coded confirmations, because here's the truth. When a woman is chosen for something big, the universe starts echoing her assignment. Nature joins in. Time syncs up. People unknowingly participate in her preparation. Even her enemies start confirming her calling by how they fight her, doubt her, talk about her. Yes, even your opposition can be a confirmation. Because when people fight you without cause, when they try to block you for no reason, when they seem triggered by your presence, it's often because your future is louder than your words. Your destiny speaks before you do. And the enemy can sense the magnitude of what you're carrying. Even when you're still figuring it out, daily life is full of divine whispers. You just have to be aware. Think of a GPS system. When you're going the wrong way, it alerts you. But when you're on the right track, it doesn't say much. It just updates your location quietly. That's how God works sometimes. When you're aligned, the confirmations come softly, but consistently. He won't scream every day, but he'll drop a message when you need it. Not always in thunder, often in the unexpected. Take Brielle, for example. She was questioning whether to leave a draining relationship. Everything in her spirit said it was time, but fear kept her still. One morning, while scrolling through her phone, a podcast she didn't even subscribe to autoplayed, and the speaker said, if they drain your peace, they're delaying your purpose. She dropped the phone. That line wasn't just clever, it was confirmation. That moment changed everything. She didn't need another meeting. She didn't need another sign. That was her moment. Don't overlook the odd, the random, the simple. God doesn't need a title to speak through someone. He doesn't need a microphone to get his message across. Sometimes the delivery is so low-key, so subtle, that if you're not spiritually tuned in, you'll miss it. But when your heart is expectant, you'll catch it. You'll know that was him. You'll know that moment was marked. So when you start getting confirmation from strange places, when the words of strangers feel like answers to your prayers, when the timing is too perfect to be chance, don't brush it off. Don't call it weird. Don't try to rationalize it. That's the divine showing up in disguise. That's purpose affirming itself through the unexpected. That's God saying, I see you, I hear you, and I'm speaking everywhere. And now you stand at the edge of something massive. You're not here by accident. You didn't stumble into this moment. Life didn't just happen to you. You've been carried, shaped, refined, and prepared for something that's going to make sense of every tear, every sleepless night, every silent cry behind closed doors. You're not just a woman going through a season. You're a woman becoming a force, a woman being positioned by power that doesn't scream. It whispers. A woman who's about to burst something so big that it will shake generations. And you feel it, don't you? Deep in your bones. Something is shifting. Something is coming. And it's got your name written all over it. You didn't survive what you went through just to end up stuck. You didn't overcome the betrayal, the heartbreak, the insecurity, the storms just to remain average. You didn't lose what you lost just to live a life of regret. No, every battle you faced was not to break you, but to build you. You are not a victim of your story. You are the vessel of its victory. What they tried to destroy in you is the very thing God is about to use to deliver others. What they called weakness is about to become your weapon. What they laughed at is about to become legendary. You are not too late, too damaged, too far behind. You're right on time for the kind of blessing that doesn't knock. It crashes through. The world may have underestimated you, but that's because they couldn't see the seed inside you. They judged your chapter without reading your book. They saw your struggle but missed your strength. They saw the pain but missed the process. But what they don't know is diamonds are made in pressure. Gold is forged in fire, and greatness, it's born in isolation. In those quiet moments when no one's clapping, in those midnight hours when it's just you, your thoughts, and the God who refuses to give up on you. You see, powerful women aren't born, they're broken, then built. And you, my sister, are being built into something unstoppable. You may not see it all yet. The blueprint may still look blurry, but every delay was divine. Every closed door was protection. Every detour was redirection. Every no was setting you up for a better yes. And soon the tables will turn. The same people who questioned your journey will witness your elevation. The same ones who walked away will watch you rise. Because what God is preparing you for can't be sabotaged by gossip, blocked by opinions, or delayed by doubt. You're not just rising, you're becoming. And every day you choose to keep showing up, keep believing, keep pushing. That's power. That's faith in motion. And let me tell you something, faith doesn't always look like fire. Sometimes it looks like tears on your pillow and getting up anyway. Sometimes it's standing when your knees are shaking. Sometimes it's trusting a vision no one else can see but you. But you're doing it, you're walking it out. And that makes you dangerous to every limitation, every label, and every lie that's ever been placed on your name. So when you feel weary, remember, tough times don't last, but tough people do. When you feel small, remind yourself, I may be underestimated, but I am never overlooked by God. And when it feels like all hell is breaking loose around you, declare this: what tried to bury me didn't know I was a seed. They thought your pain would paralyze you. They thought the pressure would silence you. But what they didn't know is you were made for this, designed for this. You were created with divine fingerprints all over your destiny. And when God is about to bless a woman mightily, nothing, and I mean nothing, can stop it. Not the past, not people, not fear, not failure. So rise, woman of purpose. Step boldly into the unknown. Walk like your steps are ordered, because they are. Speak like your words carry power, because they do. Move like the blessing is already yours, because it is. And when they ask you how you did it, how you made it, how you kept going when everything tried to break you, just smile and say, I was born for this.